You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself. It looks like a very Nightwalker-y to me from this picture here. Is that correct? Oh. Hello? And we went off such a great start.
Hello.
Hello? You back.
I'll switch it to voice activity to see if that works.
I see. Yep.
The Nightwalker was the first character I played 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I momentarily switched to a Kaiser, and then when I came to reboot, I went back to Nightwalker.
Back to your old love.
Yep.
So it wasn't, Kaiser wasn't meant to be? Still enjoyed the time a little bit, or?
Yeah, it was fun.
Just didn't have exactly what you were looking for in the kit and in the gameplay?
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but I mean, as long as you found what you liked, then that's good, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you were playing around the time of the compensation and before that as well?
Yeah. I really only started, playing MapleStory, consistently at the beginning of the summer.
Mm-hmm. So you're just in time for that compensation to go hard on that?
Yeah. that weapon has carried me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all of the compensation, like the vac pet and everything, the compensation probably helped quite a bit. So you didn't get as much from the flames and the honor experience stuff?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. So what kind of stuff do you... what level are you? What kind of content are you doing right now? And what are you hoping to get out of this, I guess?
I'm level 227.
Mm-hmm.
I do Ursus and Maple Tour probably 5 out of 7 days, and I do my dailies in the Arcane River probably 3 out of 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I have just started doing weekly bosses that are that I'm capable of soloing, that I didn't even know I was capable of soloing, but people in my guild are like, you should definitely be soloing the 3-door by now, and I'm like, oh, okay.
So you tried that, and that was no problem, or took a little bit to get used to, I assume?
Yeah, the clown was surprisingly easy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was going to be that easy.
Stitch
but
it properly, set up the bursts.
Yeah, the clown just dies. Nightwalker's burst is really good.
Yeah, and you have the opposing hat benefit, right? That gives you 100% more final damage, so that helps also as well with finishing them off.
Right. Yeah, those are pretty easy. Vellum, I'm told I can solo, and I can't. I can't right now.
Have not yet done that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just get blown up.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm trying to get out of this is, what should I be doing with my mezzo, because I don't get a whole lot of it, because I've only farmed 2 totems, and even when I do farm a totem, it's 500 million mezzos. Mm-hmm. I farmed one Monday, I think, just to see what would happen, and I went from 226 to 227 and got 500 million mezzos. So I'm not sure if I should be spending my mezzos on something specific on my character, or if I should still be building my legion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something we can look at specifically. And when it comes to the bosses, are you particularly invested in that and worried in that? Is it just general progression, or are you just trying to keep a healthy balance between the bossing and the mobbing? Do you like the bossing, or does it feel like something that people tell you that you have to do, but it's not something you naturally gravitate towards?
Bossing is definitely the reason I play this game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have always liked just slowly progressing through the game, but I had kind of written off this game as just a farming simulator for the longest time until I realized how much is actually required to fight some bosses unless you just blow them up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I've kind of liked, and I would just like to get to a point where I can actually fight some of the harder bosses.
Mm-hmm. Well, so since you said that your guildmates were you should probably be able to do these bosses already, indicating that you weren't already trying them by yourself, right? Was that because of the past event that you were just focusing on leveling because of the night troop?
Yeah.
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 And you kind of just blew past the point where it would be challenging, and to the point where now it's actually easy.
Yeah. I woke up one day and my symbols were giving me 3,000 luck.
Yep.
I went from 10k to 14k in like a month or something like that.
Yeah, it can be fast once you unlock a few of the areas, especially Arcana levels very fast once you get Spirit Savior under control. It's a lot of main stat really quickly for sure. Okay, so and Vellum, have you been trying that?
I tried last week. I think I ended up doing it because I just I would get down to like 1 life and he'd have like 30% health, and I'd be like, I just need a little bit of help. So I got one of my guildmates to come on one of their mules.
And what is the thing that you struggle with when it comes to Vellum?
Vellum.
Usually it's the tails and the falling rocks, but I don't know where you're at.
Yeah, I think it's honestly just my decision making. Like when I see a tail, I end up jumping into another one. Like I'm not keeping track of what tail came first. Right,
yeah. And so specifically during the fireball section then, when there's multiple ones? When he shoots fireballs, right, he's up in the air a little bit longer and he shoots like 3 big fireballs in front of him?
No, not entirely. I think it's when he's shooting the green lightning
stuff?
that I have that I have issues. When he's shooting the fireballs is usually when I don't die, and everyone in a party would. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys are dying here, but how you're not dying.
Yeah, that's easier, right? Because you can just stutter step the tails, and all you have to do is look for the rocks, because where he hits is very predetermined. And then as long as you count the shots after the 3rd shot, you can just jump to the front, and you'll be very safe there. But I guess with the green lightning or the snot or whatever people call it, the poison, that's always a little bit more. There's more smaller indicators, right? So it's harder to see where everything is at.
Yeah, I think it just covers the tail indicators for me, and my brain just kind of like glosses over them. It's like I should already be avoiding that because it's green, but they don't do that much damage, so I end up ignoring the green.
You can tank the single greens, that's fine, but for your positioning it's also important, of course, so you don't get hit by 2 greens at the same time. That can kill you if your positioning is a little bit off.
I didn't know they stacked.
Yeah, I think a weird thing about Maple, you can argue that's, a good thing because it counts about your positioning. But if something does not 100% kill you, but you position yourself that you get hit by 2, then they deal damage at the same time, and they can still essentially one-tap you if your positioning is bad. That's the same thing that can happen like in Cygnus. I don't know if you've done that one. If the whole screen is like filled with the purple geyser thing, if the whole screen is filled, then the individual hits are not one-shots, but if you stand in the middle of 2 and you get hit by 2 of them, then you will get one-tapped by that. So just like with Vellum, the positioning there is pretty important. And I'm guessing if you don't have that much practice with in the beginning, you're just trying to find like, okay, he's doing the green stuff, I could just jump away. That's good for your survivability, but horrible for your DPS. Or you can stay in the beginning, and then it's pretty stressful and can end up with you dying, and that's even worse for your DPS. But hopefully, yeah, so you're trying to do the same thing with like the stutter stepping, just like during the fireballs, but you have the added difficulty of the green stuff. In the beginning, the less you move, you want to have the tails overlap with each other as much as possible, right? So that you have the minimum amount of tail coverage. But yeah, it can be hard, especially if you're also still trying to kind of, figure out how to move properly as a Nightwalker, because you have that extra mobility and the backstep and all that stuff. So there's definitely tools at your disposal, but yeah, I think it's mainly just going to be a matter of practice. I don't know, like I've killed C-Val on my Nightwalker, like part of Project CRA already. I don't know if that video will help you at all with the positioning.
Okay.
Because I'm not very good with Nightwalker, so it's not going to be like an expert's POV or something.
I guess what I really like about Nightwalker is that it feels like a Night Lord with a little bit less damage and way more mobility and survivability.
Yeah, you've got the extra shield, you've got the stuff. So I don't know.
Got the resurrection.
Yeah, that as well. That helps. So I guess this is a stage. So like the rocks are priority, right? So I'm like dodging the rocks here, and then the tail comes. Then,
Right.
then
I
another
end up
tail
dark-siding.
comes. Yeah, so you have the dark sight now when you jump and everything, right?
I usually just cast it. I haven't because I saw that was buffed in the recent patch where you jump and you get dark sight. But I usually just keep an eye on when the rocks are going to hit, and I ignore my positioning and activate dark sight right before they hit the ground.
Yeah, so I've already been like conditioned to always look for rocks and always dodge them because all of the classes I ever play are not thieves, so I don't have that luxury. So I had to like learn that like dark side is a thing. Like right here, I'm going forward. Not sure why. I could have stood there. Oh yeah, so because there's another tail. And you're always looking for that one open spot, right?
Right.
And you can take that.
Seeing your stars actually reminds me how important is upgrading your throwing stars.
It's actually not very important at all.
Okay.
Yeah, so here I got hit by 1, but I wasn't. My HP was clearly too low.
Yeah.
So I got killed there. But yeah, this is also like hundreds of C-Vels of practice of getting a little bit better. But for me, of course, the struggle was mostly how does this character even move and what can I do while still doing damage. That was the hard part. Yeah, so I believe it's 1 extra weapon attack for Crystal Eelby and then another extra weapon attack for the Balanced Furies. I made the Balanced Furies a long time ago when it was way easier to make them. I personally think it's a very, very low priority. And it's more like a vanity thing, or like a, you want to have them and you want to, because you think they look cool, then that's totally fine. But for the damage, I don't think it's worth it because there's so much other stuff you can do to gain damage in your account that I think it's fairly low priority.
Okay.
And it also implores like doing extra dailies. And if you said that you're only doing only sounds a little bit negative, but like doing the daily, like the simple dailies only like around 3 times a week, that would be something I scale up before telling you like, oh yeah, go do the Phantom Forest dailies or weeklies to try to get the Balanced Furies,
Right.
Like, yeah, because you'd get much more long-term value from that, in my opinion. And the bosses that come after that, so you have like Hard Magnus and all of those, and Akechi and CPAP. You haven't really tried those yet, then, I assume?
I think I haven't even done the pre-quest for PAP. I kind of don't want to. It takes me a while to do pre-quests. For reference, Hard Mag, I've also been told I have the damage to solo it, but there's just too much going on. I end up just dying. I have no idea what to do and when to do it. Magnus feels like one of those bosses that if you don't blow it up in one bind, you just die.
Well, I'm feeling, and you can just tell me how you feel about that, but I'm feeling a little bit of a mismatch with you saying like bossing is the reason that you're playing, but at the same time, like I'm not feeling like, but I'm doing my best and I'm practicing a lot and I'm getting better every day kind of thing. It still seems like you want to be like really strong and then just blow it up, There
are some bosses that I enjoy and there are some bosses that I don't.
Okay, sure, yeah. Some mechanics
for example,
there's a level of
Sea Queen. So there's like an in between. There's bossing that I enjoy, just because of like the way the boss attacks. If that makes any sense, like Sea Vellum, I
like telegraphed and you can respond, and
I enjoy that fight of Sea Vellum. It feels like I'm actually doing something, whereas with Hard Magnus, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything. It feels like Magnus is controlling the whole fight. And it's hard to get like what I'm saying, I guess, because like it does seem like I want to just blow things up, but
I'm thinking is it when there's too much RNG or something, it doesn't feel fair.
Yeah,
is what it sounds like.
Maybe it's just the falling things in Magnus.
that could be it, because that's what most people hate about that fight.
It's just ridiculous how many rocks start falling.
Yeah. And then some fall at 3 times the speed, and then then I'm
not doing anything.
Yeah. You can jump and put the little bats down, and hopefully it hits him a little bit while he's in the air, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I've been in a couple struggle parties for Lomian, and that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't just annihilate Lomian.
Oh, yeah.
It was actually really close. There was like
Some
3 out
fails
of
and
6 people that were
some dying
one
out.
life left. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, really close. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really close, and that was fun. Because like when I think I was one of those people, I got down to 1 life. I was like, oh, okay, it's time to
can we finish?
really focus here.
Pull out the 1 life special. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to stay in the game. Yeah, with HMAG, the sweaty advice is to like really learn all the telegraphs and learn all the counters for knockback and the dark side min maxing and up jump over the swipes with dark side. If you can up jump when you have dark side, right? I think so.
Yes.
Because when he does like the blue swipe thing, if you're in dark side, you still get knocked back, but you can up jump over that swipe if you time it properly, and then if one of the meteors hits you, that doesn't do anything. So there's stuff you can do, and you've got that 5th job skill, right? That locks you in the air for a while, where you do like a bunch of attacks. I feel like that's if I'm correct.
Rapid throw.
That makes you knock down immune, right? So you can get like slapped across the map.
I think I can still get knocked back.
Okay. You can still get... Oh, yeah, you could definitely get stunned, because I got stunned out of that in Vellum. That was always very disappointing.
Although it does say that using Rapid Throw while Dark Sight is active does not deactivate Dark Sight, so I don't think I've ever actually tried to get knocked back while using Dark Sight and Rapid Throw.
Yeah, well, it's good to know. It's good to know beforehand, right? On a boss where you're going to be able to kill it anyway, so that for a boss that that is a risk here, if you can use that as an escape button or not. If you have to like backstep out of that to make sure you don't get knocked around, so you have a more controlled knockback rather than a yeet across the map kind of knockback into wherever whatever kind of other universe you're going to get slapped into by the boss.
Right.
Because that's the main thing from everything I heard from Nightwalkers before, is that once you get better control and like mastery over your own movement, that's when you can regain some of that control even in an RNG boss fight, and you get to determine where you go and where you jump and when you go there. That's something I definitely never got close to on my Nightwalker, but imagine if it's your main character and you really like the playstyle, that's something that you will eventually end up being able to do. But yeah, the main tip for HMAG, if you're just going in for the clear, is just stay in the middle, chip away at them a little bit until the blue area gets smaller, then bind and burst, get as much HP down, and then if you ever die, just make sure you die in the middle and just stay dead. Just wait out the clock so that your timers have time to come back, and just always go to the middle, and if you die, just stay in the middle, and then you basically do that 3 or 4 times, and you should have at least like another burst up, right? And then in 2 to 3 bursts, you should be able to get him down. If you're like rage resetting, like rage reviving, that's a good way to run out of lives and actually end up with him with like half an inch of HP left, and then you running out of lives kind of situation. It kind of sucks that it might be like that, but you can go like sweatier and actually try to get in there and try to dodge everything, and that is also possible, but that's riskier, of course.
Right.
And also, the first way you don't need as many buff freezers, because you don't want to spend more on freezers than you get from the crystal from the boss, because it's a little annoying.
I think a good example of a boss that I used to hate and now actually like is Sea Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Because 2 weeks ago, I think, was my first attempt, and I died out in like 2 seconds. It felt like, because I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, everything is new in the beginning. Yeah,
I had enough damage to kill Sea Queen, but it would take 8 minutes, and I couldn't get past 3. So I didn't know what to do, and then someone said, "Oh, you have a Knight's Will now. Just use that for the Zombify."
Mm-hmm.
And I used that, and it gave me. I ended up clearing with like 3 lives left, just because I cleansed 1 Zombify. I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I use my iframe on another Zombify.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that the more you do a boss fight, the more you learn to do like a risk assessment of the skills. So when you're in a certain situation and you see a certain skill go off in the beginning, you're like, well, and the very first time you don't even see the skill go off and you just die to something. You're like, what the hell happened? And then the second phase is like, okay, you know what kills you, but you have no idea how to dodge it. And then as you see more situations, you see situations where you were able to dodge it and ones that you weren't, where you didn't. And then you start thinking like, maybe I can dodge in the same way or in a different way. And then, you know, in the beginning it's like, oh, I need 6 iframes, you know, because I can't survive anything. But then as you learn more, you know, you start taking like, okay, this one is like 20% chance to die. Like there's no, I don't have to iframe, you know, I could just do this other thing instead. It's pretty safe. But now it's like, okay, this is like an 85% chance of certain death right here. Okay, this is where we need to have some kind of iframe or need to rely on the revive skill or do something because, you know, and then you can just give into that as well and maybe do some more damage while you're giving into that without manically trying to jump across the map. You know, if she's going to breathe on you and you're already too late and you can't get to the other side, you might as well hit her a bunch more times if you know you're going to die anyway, right?
Right.
And that just helps you gain more control of the boss fight. And the other thing is also like when you die, just to stay dead a little bit and just relax and be like, okay, what just happened? Okay, what's her HP at? What are my cooldowns at? What am I going to do when I res? Instead of like immediately clicking the res button, because then you're still in that like not in control phase, and that makes it harder to. Yeah, I find
myself doing that a lot. I'll just rage revive.
Yeah. I usually do that when I'm against a boss that I know I can already kill, and then I'm like even more mad because I know I can do it. But if it's in the beginning, you learn a lot from just like assessing the situation. Like, okay, where's their HP at? You know, is it a queen? Like, what was the last phase? What is this phase? Like, what is the next one maybe going to be? Because that's the thing as well with queen, because she has like 4 different bodies. In the beginning, you're like, okay, the mirror always kills me. The zombify always kills me. Like every single phase is something that the fire stacks always kills me. You know, like there's nothing I can do against any of this. But then as you get stronger as well, of course, and there's the RNG of the different bodies, you learn that there are just fewer situations where you actually will die. And then, you know, and then the stronger you get, there's actually no situations anymore where you will die. And that's part of, I think, the bosses becoming more enjoyable as well, as you get more control over the fight because you know what's going to happen, or you know the possibilities, right? It's not like you can see into the future, but you know what the possible options are. So as soon as you see something telegraphed, you immediately know what the possible responses are. And that's going to happen with C-Val as well, is that you'll learn like the rhythm for the attacks. If you see a tail, it'll just be like, you're not going to be in your head like, okay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, but your muscle memory will know like, okay, this is how long I can stand in this spot, and now I have to jump away. And that just, yeah, it just comes with practice. It's good that we have practice mode and everything, so they owed us that when entering the 30-minute cooldown for entry, because that was annoying.
Yeah, I think the most enjoyable boss for me right now is probably Sea Queen, because it feels like a fight.
Yeah, feels fair.
That I'm capable of winning. Whereas what's a boss that Narc, like normal Arcarium, that's not a fun boss fight to me. Either I instantly blow him up, or I went in without Dominion like an idiot and he just spams his insta kill. And now I have to wait 2 minutes to go in and blow him up, and it's like, that's
yeah, just old silly mechanics that haven't stood the test of time and haven't really been updated. Yeah, for sure. And I think if you see like more of the bosses in the dailies grid of mine, I also have like a column of like, are the mechanics for the boss relevant for the game and for the progress for like other bosses? And what you're probably going to have a decent overlap with the bosses where I score those very low. It's probably going to be the bosses that you enjoy doing the least, if I hear you correctly. Because it's yeah, you just have to know specifically what this boss does, and you just have to play around that specific one thing. But you can't transfer that kind of knowledge to anything else, and it's kind of silly, but you just kind of have to do it. Otherwise, yeah, you get blown up or something. I guess you can. I mean, for normal arc at this point, you can just bind and burst it, right?
Yeah, if I have my whole burst, I don't even need to bind him.
Yeah, yeah, if you start attacking while he doesn't attack, then he's like stuck in that for a little bit, and it's kind of like a mini bind on him. But yeah, it depends on how strong your character is for sure. You know that better at this point than I can. So
Yeah, if I have I think I tested it. I just need Last Resort and one other buff to kill him with one rapid throw.
oh yeah, rapid throw does a lot of damage. Yeah, it's a big chunk in a small amount of time. Yeah. Yeah, otherwise you need all the other ones and like the 4 shadow partners and all those dudes jumping and attacking. I guess.
I think the most recent thing that I've done that I would consider progression was figuring out hard lucks.
Mm-hmm.
Killing. I'd kill the abdomen, not the arms, not one of the arms, and it doesn't really feel like there's any mechanics for hard lucks. I just kind of jump to the other side when his eyes light up, and in second phase, I just stand at the edge of the platform and jump and backstep when an arm comes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten hard lucks pretty down, and then I guess Helix would be the next thing.
And the bats hit all the way down, right? You don't need to...
Yeah, I don't need to kill the potatoes. The bats will kill them for me.
That's nice, yeah. Yeah, Helix is just the same, but like way more HP. But then the with the extra breath attack during the chin, right? And the chin has quite a bit more HP, so it's just going to be a matter of jumping a little bit further to the other side. Because the hitbox for the breath is slightly behind the breath as well, so you don't want to stand too close to the middle.
Helix doesn't really feel like a boss where I would have fun with it. It feels like one where I would want to just get it done.
Yeah, it's one of those just obligated things, obligated dailies that gates your progress is basically what it is. Yeah, not terribly super fun and engaging, especially not when the attacks are kind of... Well, it used to be that the attacks were kind of on a steady pattern, which was also a little bit lame, but now sometimes the attacks are like way faster, and then yeah, I don't know what like the fact that the hitbox for the breath is all the way until the corner of the map, even though it visually is just like a small attack. That's just weird to me. I don't like that in games in general. So that change, I wasn't much for that. I was all for increasing the HP and just making it more difficult because of how good the sound bonus is. But yeah, I don't like difficulty in the form of, oh, you just get killed even though you can't see anything hitting you. That's not difficulty to me. That's just lazy design. Like if they make the breath size, the actual size of the hit or something, then that's something they can do. But yeah, don't make it look like this and then hit like that. Like that's just silly to me. But
I tried Helix 2 days ago, I think, and I kept getting killed by the stomach breath attack when I was 100% sure that I had gotten away from it.
Like in front of it, right?
So say I'm on the right side and he activates the breast side, I flash jump over and I'm like just over on the left side. So like the animation of the breath doesn't hit me, but then I die and I'm like,
yeah, okay. It's like an inch or so almost of space behind him that's still, well, depending on how big your screen is and your resolution and everything, but there's like at least one full character width of hitbox behind the middle that still hits you. Yeah, you have to be quite a bit behind it, unfortunately. But I'm sure if you watch like a video of someone do it, they make it look super easy and you're like, oh, I just like jump attack, flash jump to the other side, backstep back if they do an attack kind of thing, and then they make it look super easy.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that will come with damage. Okay, so so specifically just like general progress, balancing time, balancing dailies kind of thing. So
balancing time and where my mesos should be going.
Where the mesos go, yeah. And your general time frame and commitment to the game, like when it comes to totems and stuff, do you typically train on totems? How many do you use per month? Can you buy them all?
I use probably around 4 totems a month, and I try to only train with totems because it feels like I'm just wasting my time if I'm not training with a totem.
So like one a week, like on weekends or something when you have more time?
Yeah. I could also use more reward points because time almost doesn't feel like the issue. It's just I run out of reward points for the totems, and then I'm
I see.
Like, well, I don't want to train my main without a totem, so I end up just training a mule to like 130 or something like that.
Yeah, or do some Zuckum runs and Try to
Yeah.
get some free levels. Have you seen the reward point video that I made on how you can max on those?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat. So there's like 3 main ways, right? There's like the monster collection, which you probably can, I think, make some gains there. And then there's the bossing, which you're already working on. And a third thing you can do is link up with MapleM, which very easily can get you up to 500 Maple points per day. So even just if you do that daily on the side, that can get you 15k right there. So that's what is that, 11 or 12 totems?
Yeah, that would fill out the rest of them.
Oh no, 1.8k. My
month.
bad. That's like eight totems. Yeah, 8 totems. My bad. Missed math.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's like, yeah, that's over half, like around half or over half of them is just like from passive MapleM. And then when you get to the point where your monster collection is like popped off and you have like more classes that you can burst on maybe, or boss on, and you get reward points from various other things, you might even get enough without the MapleM, and then you can drop that again. But until then, it's a really powerful tool in the beginning to get you to increase your totem coverage for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a good thing that we checked up on that. So yeah, so you mostly just do like some daily stuff during the week when you have time, and then on the weekends you grind a little bit longer. That's kind of what you do.
Yeah, my weekends are a little weird though, with the way school is right now. Days that I'm in school or that I like have a lot of schoolwork are like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and like Saturday.
Okay.
So I have really
Friday,
weird
Sunday, weekends.
days. Yep.
Interrupted weekend on a Saturday.
Yeah, I would say I usually end up putting like 40 hours a week onto MapleStory is probably a good estimate.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you could have more totems in that, right?
Yeah.
And you feel like you could make more structural gains in on the character when you're on it. So would you say that you're spending a lot of that time on stuff like Legion at this point?
Yeah, but I don't even know if that's like what I should be spending my time on. Because it feels like I definitely feel the difference. Like when I'm training a new character, like I'll end up one-shotting drakes when I get to them instead of, you know, the 4-shot that I would have had like 6 characters ago.
Yeah, you're noticing that difference. And is it something you enjoy doing, playing on other characters, or is it?
It usually depends on the character.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I don't know if I enjoy it until I get to 4th job.
Yeah, because until then, some classes take off immediately, but most of them need to grow into their skin a little bit, and then once they're there, you can decide.
My Dawn Warrior was. For me, it was just miserable until I got to level 100, and then I liked it so much that I got it to like 170 in one sitting. Yep. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I feel like they, I feel like they were always strong, like they hit hard, but like I think the 3rd job they start hitting a lot of lines as well in their mobbing skill. It's like your whole screen is suddenly full of numbers. But right. Yeah, 4th definitely takes that to the next level. 5th job is even more fun. I can tell you already.
And then, oddly enough, the character that I've most recently made that I liked the least was the Night Lord.
Night Lord, yeah.
Because I felt like I was just dying. Like, I felt like I was playing a Nightwalker, but dying 10 times more.
Yeah, they're definitely squishy to start with. If you're used to a certain level, then going back, the beginning character is like, oh yeah, you take damage here. Yeah. It's like when you're in the Arcane River for a long time, and then you go to a new area, and it's like, oh yeah, you actually could take damage from monsters hitting you. That's crazy. Your HP can go down. You kind of forget sometimes that's a thing when you're not bossing, you know?
Yeah, when I first got to Arcana, that would have been like three weeks ago or something like that. I was actually taking damage, like trying to finish the map because the mobs are like, what, 235 or something like that at the end. and I wasn't even really doing damage to them. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Whoa,
yeah, you end up.
I forgot this happens."
Yeah, in the beginning, especially around those areas, it's like Arcana and then Morass and Asphera. Like when you just get to the new areas, the last part of the pre-quest, the monsters are 15 levels higher, need way too much arcane power that you're nowhere near. Unless you're one of my characters that hasn't leveled in like a year but has done dailies for a few months for some reason, and then you can actually do the pre-quest. But you know, that's the huge price you pay of not moving forward with your character.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the Legion stuff, well, 3K is another big bump if you get that. That's mainly because of the extra grid expansion and because you can get to put 5 extra characters in instead of just 1. So that's usually
What is that screenshot at?
2670.
Okay, I am now at 2839.
Okay, nice. So you're getting close to that. Yeah. So, well, so your question is kind of heavy. So like, should I be doing this? I never try to look at things like that. I just say like, hey, you know, like I have the progression grid. It's like this is where I think spending your time, comparatively can be efficient. And then you do what you want with that information. You know, you can be like, okay, I like this more. I'm going to do that a little bit more. I like this less. I'm going to do that a little bit less. As long as you know roughly what the balance is that you're aiming for, because this is also balanced on time, right? This is balanced on meso, but this is balanced on resources. And you have time is your main resource, and then from time comes EXP and meso, and then that balances out to where do you spend it and how far do you push on everything. But it all comes back to like where do you spend your time, basically. So if you're looking for something to generally give you some guidance on where to spend your time, then this is it also, right? And you'll see a lot of the stat will be connected with each other. You know, a lot of the stuff isn't just like plucked out of the sky. Like your damage comes from blink skills, and that comes from leveling Legion, and that comes from leveling other characters. So it's all interconnected in some way. But some things are distinct, so you can look at things that way. But I guess if you look at this, do you see yourself being roughly where you want to be, or do you see like a huge mishap on something like, oh, I'm way behind on this?
It feels like I'm way behind on levels on my Nightwalker, if that answers that question.
Compared to this, or like compared to other people? Or compared to how much you play?
Compared to how much I play, I feel like I should be grinding more on my main character for levels than I am. But it also feels like super slow and not as beneficial as grinding mules.
And do you think that, you know, just the thing we talked about, like with the totems, that could already upset that quite a bit? That could already like make that balance better, or is there other things you feel?
Maybe because I think I said I do like 4 totems a month, and 3 of those end up going to mules. And 1 of them ends up on my main.
Yeah. So now that should be like an extra 8, so you could go from 1 on your main to like 9 on your main.
Yeah.
But you feel like you have the desire to put those hours there as well? Because you say you're playing 40 hours a week. That's a pretty decent amount.
Yeah. I've definitely bumped up how much I've been playing in the past few weeks. Which
maybe when finals are over or something, you play more, right?
Probably.
Yeah. I hope you balance your
school. It helps at my. Yeah, I'm balancing it pretty well.
That's good. Yeah.
It could also just be because these classes are easy. I'm not sure, but well, I'll know if I get a hard class how much time I'm actually wasting, or I shouldn't say wasting, but placing in the wrong areas. We'll say
misallocating. Yeah, let's use that.
Yeah. Misallocating my time. We'll see.
Yeah, because if you look level wise and you were like stat wise, you were like 4. You were like 14, 15.
Yeah, I'm at 15k stat. 15k stat with a buff, with the
oh, they were at the bottom, right?
The Maple Warrior buff.
Yeah, 14, 16, yeah. Star Force, that's with Guild Star Force, right? That's not too bad. Flames. Arcane Power. Yeah, it's probably the Arcane Power one is probably, yeah, since you said that you're doing the dailies more like half the time, so that's probably the one that's going to be a little bit behind, which is okay, right? But if you know, if you go a little bit harder on Legion, you can compensate for quite a bit of that. The problem is if you get to bosses where there's a cutoff for Arcane Power, or when you want to throw totems up in the new area, to get all the bigger EXP, and then you can't train in those areas because your Arcane Power isn't high enough. That's going to be a bit of a thing holding you back. Because, I mean, yeah, it's just a time gate, right? You have to just pay the time price. Or people brute force their levels first to 235 so they can get access to way more dailies. And then if you do have time for your dailies, you don't need to take nearly as long to get as many done. And then you can get more symbols per day in efficiency-wise. But of course you have to, put in those levels first and get to 235, which isn't insanely far away for you, of course. But that is definitely a thing that people do, like push those levels and then take a little bit of a foot off the gas when it comes to leveling on the main. Work more on the dailies, get the symbols up, and then work a little bit more on Legion on the side until you feel like, okay, now the character is established. You've got your base stats and everything from Legion and Links ready. And you got the Arcane Power, and then hopefully by then there's an event so you can make some upgrades and you spend some time doing weeklies, getting some backups, and then you can spend that money, make a big upgrade, and then go train hard until 250s. Seems to be a path that a lot of people follow. Because, depending on, of course, if you if you like just steamrolling through the game, some people do it like in bursts, right? Like there's a big event, and they go hard for a little bit, and then they ease off the throttle a little bit. But yeah, it can depend on whatever cyclical nature you have in school as well, when you have finals, when you have more times, when there's vacation, stuff like that. So
right, I try to line up. I mean, I can't control what happens in school, right, or what events are going on in MapleStory.
Yeah.
So I can't control when those things line up, and usually they don't.
Nice, yeah.
But when I have more time, it's definitely in short bursts where I'll play really hard for like 2 weeks, and then I'll be like, okay, I need to take my foot off the gas on MapleStory.
Yeah, reallocate to school a little bit more, projects, deadlines, make sure that doesn't suffer. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, hopefully with the extra access to totems as well, that will give you that flexibility to be like, okay, I can't play as much, but I still want to make some progress. And then, in the weekend, you could throw 1 or 2 totems up and don't feel like, okay, these are the only totems I'm going to have this month, so I really have to make them count. But you can also be like, okay, well, I did like an hour, a little bit more than an hour, and not feeling it anymore, or I should go to do something else. And then you can let that go as well, because that individual totem won't have that value, right?
Right. Since I'm only getting like 3 to 4 totems a month at the moment,
there's that pressure.
I like
right?
when I get the totem, I'm like, okay, I do not want to waste even a single second of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hopefully this will give you a bit more freedom to not feel as pressured, and yeah, even if you, because that's the beauty of having like way more reward points and way more access to totems. And yeah, even if you just use one and you use like an hour of it, it's still an hour more than you would have done without. It's not like you lose an hour, but you gained an hour, right?
Right.
And then, well, that's an important mindset to keep though, because it could be easy to like fall into the trap that Nexon wants, of course, and that all video games want, is that you look at everything that you could do as things that you like enforce yourself to have to do, and then then it can get a little bit fucky in your brain. So you have to make sure that you keep that. But you seem pretty level-headed that way, so I don't think you'll have any issues with that.
That actually happened to me with the arcane symbols around the time I got to Lachlan. I didn't want to do dailies, but I was doing dailies 7 days a week, and I hated it. And that was around the time where I said, okay, I'm gonna stop doing dailies all the time because it's just making me miserable and I'm hating the game.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm gonna go level up my Legion, because at the time my Legion was probably at like 1500.
Yeah. Just find a different place. That's fine if you notice that like something is wrong, or you're not really feeling it. Taking a step back and look at what you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and see which things. I always say, typically look at the things that you leave until the very last moment. Those are typically the ones you don't really like doing, and probably start by cutting those down a little bit or a lot of bit, and then seeing how that seeing how that changes. If you enjoy the game more, if you find yourself having more time to do cool stuff, that's usually a good way to kind of clean up your dailies. It's always good to reassess every now and then, because the game just wants to pile on more and more and more, so you play more, and it's easy to get like buried in that for sure. So doing fewer dailies, that helps to keep your own control, right? To circle back to Hard Magnus, to make sure that you were in control and that not you weren't getting played by Magnus, getting played by the game.
The game wasn't playing me. I was playing the game.
Yeah. It's good to realize that's you're losing that grip on who gets to decide and take that decision power back. That's always good. So the extras are live. So I guess you'll have to be okay, right, on a certain level with this the arcane power just going a little bit slower, and that's fine. But it will mean that you have to push a little bit harder on all the other stuff. But that's surmountable. The main thing is just that boost nodes are going to be super important then, right? Because that's the other thing that gives you final damage.
Yes. I only have one of those, I think. I only have one that I found that has the trio that I'm looking for.
I think for Nightworker, do you look for like... Is it like 3 boost nodes with a combination of a bunch of skills, and then you boost one once, right?
Let me see real quick.
Yeah, 2 Quint Stars, 2 Sparks, 2 Shadow Bats, 2 Omens, and then 1 of whatever you want to do. It's either the iframe or another.
The recommended 3 nodes setup is Shadow Bat, Quintuple Star, Shadow Spark, Dark Omen, Quintuple Star, Dark Omen, Dominion, Shadow Bat. So
so this
Shadow
with
Bat
1 Dominion
is 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so Quint Star, Shadow Spark, Bat, and Omen just all double, and then 1 extra, which I guess people advise Dominion. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
I think just to min-max a little bit extra damage when you're bossing, right?
Yeah, the actual damage from Dominion isn't that insane, if I remember correctly.
No, well, that's probably why it doesn't really matter that much for the last one. It's just a little bit of min-maxy, because the main thing is that you want to have the other ones double spun, so you have 1 free left over. So you might as well take something that gives you anything rather than nothing. Is the thought there? But it's probably 0.00% of your final damage or something. Because the minion is the iframe. Like so it gives something, but it doesn't give you that much. It's not like, oh wow, now my burst is like insane, or you don't really notice it at all. But it's just a more than nothing kind of situation. But yeah, so I noticed that you, so you don't really have boost nodes, and that's probably going to be the part where, comparative to Legion, where you can make the biggest gains. That, of course, the problem is you can't really pull new node stones out of the ground. That's kind of the issue with these things, right? You have to train, you have to grind, you have to have drop rate, or you have to participate in events where they do drop. So the main advice in general is, if you get access to node stones at all, definitely open them up and see what's in there. If there's events with event shops that have anything even remotely related to nodes, buy all of those out immediately, please. Because like in the beginning, you're getting your damage from your weapon, your secondary, your emblem, your node stones, and your symbols, right? That's where you're getting all your damage. Your weapon is great, but it's locked in place, so that one is kind of put like offside. Your symbols, those are steadily going, but not as quickly as you would want. So nodes need to compensate for that. So you need to put the hours into grinding, which again, right now you're not doing because of the lack of totems, but hopefully the totems will also give you better access. So the other thing is that you want drop rate, and you want to participate in events if they do happen. So again, you say it doesn't always align with when you have time. That's definitely very true. So whenever you do have patch notes, I would say always look through them and see okay, is there an event shop? Do they have node stones? Or is there some kind of login thing or something that gives you free nodes? If so, what do you need to do for that? And then determine, am I able to do that? Do I want to do that? And then make sure that that's a high priority for you. If you can, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that final damage from your base skills is going to be super important. I can totally understand now why you would have take more time to do like CRA and stuff, and you struggle more with the bosses if your base skills aren't being boosted at all, right? Because it's just straight up final damage that make your total kit do so much more damage. Because of this setup, you're basically only burst, and then off burst your damage is really low comparatively. That's why you need the boost nodes to get your DPM way higher up, and your burst will also increase, right? Because I mean, you're using your big skills, of course, but also while you're bursting, but mainly off burst, is you're going to see a huge increase. And you're mobbing, you're just going to be killing the monsters way faster, which you need to offset the arcane power maybe not being all there. So like your setup will probably be at least for mobbing is you have the free slot, of course, that can get a boost node, and then decent hyper body is actually not really necessary, right? Because when you're bossing, everything does percentage HP. So if you increase your HP, you just take more damage, so your survivability doesn't actually go up.
Oh, okay.
And some classes use it because they scale off of HP, but that's only Demon Avengers and Kana, basically. So other than that, you're not going to need that. So you can extract that one if you get more of those.
All right.
And then your Empress is like specifically like a bursting skill when you're bossing. So when you're mobbing, you don't use that one at all either. So that'll be like your 3 spots that you have open for your boost nodes. And then as soon as you level to 230, then you can pop that skill back in and be back in that setup. But it's also going to be important to put your boost nodes into slots that are high level. So like switch it out with Sharp Eyes, switch it out with wasn't Dark Star. What was the top right again?
The top right has Rapid Throw in it.
Rapid Throw, yeah. Switch it out with Rapid Throw, and definitely use your Matrix points as well to level up one more slot, and then put the boost nodes in there. Because even so, at this point, even if you have just the 3 boost nodes that you want, and they're just level 1, but you put them into level 5 slots, you'll get so level 1 plus 5 is 6 each, up to 18. Up to 12, right? Because all of the skills twice. And you get 2% per level. You're getting 24% final damage on all of your main attacking skills, just for level 1 boost nodes in a level 5 slot. So you're adding a quarter of your damage. So there's just so much to be gained here. Hopefully that emphasizes it enough, I guess. trying to sell it to you now, like the importance of it. Especially like if you don't like doing the dailies, like that's all fine. But you can't not do the dailies and not have boost nodes. You're playing the game on like ultra hard mode. I'm not saying it's not possible, right? But you're really like holding your character back at that point.
Yeah, I actually I had boost nodes that I got from that totem I farmed earlier this week, and switching them out, it's 12% more final damage to Quintuple Star and Shadow Bat from the ones that I had. Yeah,
it's also fine to use some 2 out of 3 nodes in the beginning, right? Just to get you started. You know how it works with the fusing and everything, and with the levels and with the disassembling and.
I think I'm starting to figure it out.
Okay, so tell me how it works. What do you have right now, and how are you gonna move forward with it?
So I have my boost nodes placed into the slots that are upgraded with the matrix points, and I need to get boost nodes that are the exact same ones to enhance them, right?
No, not the exact. So it only has to have the same top skill, so like the one that's visible. So if you hover over the boost node, there's like 3 of them shown listed with the little icons next to them.
Oh, it only needs the top one?
It just needs the top one to be the same. So if you go to the node master and then you right click on a node to enhance it, you'll be able to see if you have any in your possession that you can enhance it with.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's way faster and way simpler than what you thought, right? Because it doesn't.
I probably disassembled a lot that I could have used.
Yeah. Well, that's because you have like nothing here equipped. You probably got rid of a bunch because you thought like it has to be the exact same one. So it's just so your I'll call it like your base node, right? The one that you want to level up. That one, to level it up, you just need the top skill to be the same, and then the other 2, the second and third one on the boost node doesn't matter at all. It's your base node that you will gain EXP, and those skills will get empowered, and it doesn't matter what the second and the third one are. So as soon as you find your 3 nodes that you want to level up, what you do at that point is you just extract everything that doesn't start with one of those 3 nodes that you're starting with. You directly enhance the ones that do, and then with the shards you get from all of the stuff you extract, you can make more boost nodes to specifically enhance those, because you can pick the top skill when you make a boost node, right? So you can pick which one you're going to be leveling up. So you'll very easily just evenly up, getting those 3 boost nodes up to like level 10 or something. And then you're looking at level 10, 15, 30. You're looking at 60% final damage there on your main skills. So that's that's like a trove of of damage. So the totems, the extra grinding, plus the nodes together, I think is going to make a huge difference for your account.
Yeah, I think the boost nodes have been missing.
Yeah. And
really,
yeah, so I guess if we look back to the progression grid, I guess like the level for the boost nodes is probably the one where you were off the most, right? It's a very small number that's here in the bottom, and it doesn't look very important, but yeah, is it? Oh boy, is it important? Yeah.
Yeah, just applying these boost nodes to the right slots just now adds like, I think I just looked at it, it was like a 35% final damage just to quintuple star.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, the numbers fly around so quickly, so you don't really notice that, but when you start killing monsters, you'll just notice them disappearing, and when you're bossing, after one burst, where maybe before the boss still had like 60% HP, you'll just notice that suddenly this boss is like over halfway dead already, and you're like, what? So yeah, hopefully that helps you feel more value from your time that you spend as well. And definitely once you start throwing up more totems and stuff, you'll just see the experience come in. And you know, once we get into the equips and everything, hopefully you'll start seeing more gains when it comes to meso and drop as well. And as long as, you know, arcane power maybe a little bit slower, as long as the nodes are coming in hot and your weapon and secondary and emblem are fine, but then we can focus with the equips on your accessories to try to get drop and meso, because you'll still be able to kill everything, and then you can just increase the amount of bags, the amount of nodes that you get, right, with the drop rate, and the amount of meso that you're getting while you're training. And then once you really need to get a lot of damage because you want to do bossing and you want to do like Lotus and Damien solo and that kind of stuff, that's when you'll get into things like the superior Golok set, right? And then you have enough dineros to make the Sweetwater pieces and everything, and then that stuff comes into play, and then you can go hard for damage on those, but then you already have the drop and meso on the side for mobbing, and you'll be able to kill because you have those boost nodes and you have more arcane power. But yeah, boost nodes is, yeah, that's probably going to be the big one for this session, yeah.
Yeah, that was something that just went completely over my head, was boost nodes.
Yeah, but that all makes way more sense now.
Yeah.
So which ones are you? So do you have the 3 out of 3s, or are you using a few 2 out of 3 nodes right now?
I have 2 3 out of 3s, and I have 1 2 out of 3 node that just has Shadow Stitch instead of.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you're basically there, because if you do find the perfect one, you can just use your current leveled up one to level the other one. If it starts with the same skill, and you lose no experience that way.
Yep.
So the bad thing is if you do level a 2 out of 3, but it doesn't have the top skill that you want eventually, then eventually you have to disassemble it, and then you lose a lot of efficiency. So you're not even in that situation, so you're good.
Nope.
Yep. So if you ever open up a bunch of nodes, you just go to the node guy, right-click your boost nodes, and just slap them in, and that'll be just in the beginning a lot of free damage coming in. Oh yeah, by the way, when you're mobbing, you're probably not using Last Resort at all either, right? So that's another slot that you have available, which does bring me to.
It's just too short.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would only use it on elites, but you have no coverage on it, right? For mobbing, you want stable damage across the board, right? You want to be able to always kill at the same pace, and you want to be able to rotate the map at a regular tempo, and not have to do like, okay, now I use this skill, now I have to do this weird thing around the map, and now I have this other skill. It's that'll make it too weird. Because I think you also want speed infusion in there. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I haven't found that one.
Oh yeah, when you get it, or you can craft it for like 140 as well if you want, of course. But yeah, if you get that, because I think you need it, to hit max attack speed with the green pot. So when you train, do you also use the Monster Park potions?
I just started doing that like a week ago. I was told that was also something that I was missing out on.
Yeah, and if you do enough Monster Park, you should always be able to cover all of your training sessions, and maybe even for the mules, right? When you're training there, Do you do the 2 runs or do you do the extra 5? Do you buy those?
I thought that the extra 5 costed Maple points until somebody told me that no, they cost Mesos. So now I do all 7.
Yeah, the Maple points is for Maple Tour, but it is a bit confusing because when you go into Monster Park, it says like the currency you have there, your Maple points are shown.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of, I get the confusion for sure.
I don't know why it says that.
Yeah, it started saying that a while ago, and then but before that we already knew that you could buy, so everyone who was already doing it before wasn't confused by that, but for new players it was probably confusing at that point. Then later they added Maple Tour, so I think they have some kind of common code for the two, and because Maple Tour does run on Maple points for extra entries, that's probably why that showed up there, I think. But it's a little bit of just spaghetti, just bleeding over into other content, nothing.
Yeah.
Hashtag just next on things. So, yeah, because the speed infusion plus the green pot will also, help. And because the main thing there, and that's to bring it back to the point that I was getting to, is that it'll help you get used to the rhythm of your attacks. Like how quickly can you attack? How fast can you jump around after an attack? Right? Like what is the cooldown period when you do an attack? When you land, can you move again immediately, or do you have to do something else? And as soon as that's the same when you're mobbing and bossing, your muscle memory will start latching onto that, on like how do you move and when do you move. And I think as long as you get because you get so much practice with that when you're mobbing without even realizing it, then when you're bossing, you'll immediately know how to respond to things because you'll know how to get from point A to point B without getting hit by obstacle X. And yes. I think that'll help and speed up the process of practicing the bosses and not getting blasted, which will be very helpful once you start doing things like CPAP, because that's some next level. That's like HMAG, but then like the big boy version of HMAG, basically. Make HMAG look like a very simple, weak boss, basically. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a learning curve, but it's very doable, but there is a learning curve. Yeah. But I have a video on that one as well when you get to it, !CPAP. A lot of people have found it very helpful, where I talk about like positioning and which skills you want to do and where you want to stand and decisions you want to make when it comes to using iframes or saving iframes. A lot of people have found that very helpful because it's one of those bosses where in the beginning it feels like you can't do anything. Like very, very early Chaos Queen, basically, where you're like, okay, everything kills me.
Yeah.
But then once you do get the hang of it, you can kill it, but then it feels a little bit like an HMAG where there's still some RNG stuff that can happen, and then you can't really do anything about it. But as long as you know what to do in all the other situations, you're gonna die 2 or 3 times up until a certain point, but that's fine as long as you get the kill in. And it is one of those where it does drop an item that you want. The pep mark is very highly coveted. So the faster you can start clearing it, the more chances you can give yourself of getting that piece before you need to overcommit to something else to compensate for it. So yeah, that's a boss to look out for. But that's basically the next ones, right? Once you get CPAP down, then it's HMAG, Akechi, and CPAP, the next bosses, and then Lotus and Damien come around the corner.
Right. I went into an Akechi party once.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was it was probably like a month and a half ago or something like that. And it was with my guild, and my guild was all like way stronger than me, but they said they had never done Akechi before.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, who wants to try Akechi? And we're like, okay, I'll come, I'll see what this is. And we all died out really quickly. we had no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the blossoms, and you get slowed, and he keeps diving on you, and then there's like a screen door and a big slash in the map, and yeah, it's hopefully you get to, but by the time you get to that point, you're just going to be a lot stronger, and it's mainly going to be just chip away at them a little bit, bind and burst them down, and just get it over with. It's the whole boss fight is basically can be explained by kiting properly. Just stay far enough away from him so he doesn't like knock you up into the sky, but stay close enough to him so he doesn't do any weird attacks. Because if you get a little bit too far away from him, he'll do like swipes across the map that do a lot of damage. or he'll do he'll go into DR, which is really annoying. His DR is pretty weak though, so even if you hit into it a few times, you shouldn't die, so it's not that bad. But it just slows down the whole run, and it's annoying. And his transitions take like 3 hours before he goes into his next phase, so you want to be careful popping skills, because you're going to lose a lot of time if you... Like for some bosses, you sometimes want to pop them at the end of a phase, right? So you have them immediately on the next phase. You don't want to do that for Akechi, because all of your skills will be like 90% done by the time the second phase starts. So you have to do it in the phase itself. But it's a bit of a learning curve, but he's definitely the simplest out of all of those, and the least RNG is. He's just a little bit annoying, but he's the one you need to worry about least out of those three.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was just weird in the beginning.
He was probably the one that I was dreading the most.
Yeah. No, it's not. He's not that bad. He's not that bad. He's just annoying. But comparative to like how much effort it is and like the crystal value, that's the biggest value one, because I think it's like 70 mil or something crystal. There's like 68, something like that. So it's a lot of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot of cash, and it'll probably just be like a minute phase 1 and like a few minutes phase 2, and you'll be fine. Once you get around to that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be fine. It's a easy weekly money for sure. Because I think
the
Akechi and CPAP together
biggest...
is like 150 mil a week, you know.
Oh, wow.
Crystals.
I think from all the weeklies that I do right now, I get 300, 330, something like that.
Yeah, like 3 doors is already 150.
Yeah, 3-door, Czak.
Yeah, Czak.
Ardhilla.
You doing Princess No?
Yes, Princess No. Chaos Pink Bean. I hate Chaos Pink Bean. He's so annoying.
Yeah.
I can't
Fucking
jump.
Statues. Yeah, you can't jump. And you definitely
takes
can't
away
up-jump.
half my damage because I can't jump.
Yeah.
I'm just permanent reverse.
Yeah, love it.
It's not like he kills. The thing is, Pink Bean doesn't even kill me. He's just annoying.
He kills
just
you with
slows down the
annoyance. Yeah, he just makes you want to.
Yeah.
He just makes you want to rope lift.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He just wants you to get those life counters down by yourself instead of him having to do it. I mean, yeah, just imagine how much better it is already now compared to before, right? Like when you just went in, when you could just kill it, you needed like 300 all cures on you, because you get sealed and blinded every 2 seconds.
Yep.
Everything misses. Lovely. As a
where all my all cure potions ended up going was to Pink Bean.
Yeah. As a cannoneer, that was the worst boss, because you would send out like your giant bullets and stuff, but then you get sealed or blinded afterwards, and then the bullet would miss everything, even though you already fired it before, because it was like a magic spell, right? So you constantly just, like, you send a bullet, and then you just have your finger over the all cure, and you're just like spamming it whenever you see anything pop up, just to make sure that the bullet can do damage. Because, yeah, you have to stay in the corners, right? So the bullet just goes into the map and does the thing for you, so you're just like spamming all cures, yeah. That's, again, one of those bosses on the list that's just not particularly great, or not a good design, hasn't really stood the test of time, and even if you can kill it, it doesn't say like, oh, well, now you're ready for Magnus, or like, now you're ready for Will. Like, it doesn't translate to anything else. It's just one of those obligatory things, and you kind of just do it for the gains, you know.
Yeah, so far the Chaos Rudibus has been the most fun.
Yeah. I think that's where it really starts being bossing, and that you can get confronted with a situation where you feel powerless in the beginning, but you can actually get a lot better with practice. And at the end, you actually have a boss fight that means something. Some of the things are a little bit annoying, like Pierre can be very annoying with certain characters that have AoEs if you can't kill them pre-split, and everything hits multi-target. That one can get very annoying. But again, that boss was also designed to be a party boss in the beginning, and one person was supposed to kill one clown, and the other one was supposed to kill the other. So you kind of get that. And that's just something that you have to play around. So that's probably one of the least interactive things I think about entire CRA, but other than that, Fonbon is pretty straightforward. Queen, takes some practice, but it's pretty straightforward. And for Vellum, it's really just a positioning check and a pacing check as well. Not to get too demoralized when the first 50% is pretty slow, because in the last 50% of his HP, he's up way more, right? Especially during the green lightning and during the poison attack, he's hittable way more then. It's harder, but you can hit him because he's out and he's up in the air more. When he's doing the air sucking on the side for the big breath, he's there as well. You can hit him way more. So typically the HP bar moves way faster in the second 50%. So that's something you have to hold on to and really. But yeah, it's typically long boss fights, but it's I think it's rewarding. Okay.
Definitely.
So let's make sure that we get all the things in, all the systems double checked, just like the matrix and everything. So we talked a little bit about the Legion. So one thing I usually mention, I don't know how many of these sessions you've already seen on YouTube, but one main thing is that I don't know how many Legion character slots you still have available now.
I have. Slots is in the ones that can be on the board, or is in the
Yeah,
ones
just
that are
like on the where it says Legion character, where it says like 1 out of how many is that, like 18 or 19?
13 out of 18 is what it says
Out of
right
18.
now.
Yeah, so the top 40 characters, right? Their levels count. So you have 22 more characters that if you get them to at least level 60, their level will count for your Legion level. So essentially, if you make 22 more level 60s, you get like 1,320 levels extra over what you have now. So you'd be over 4K Legion just by making a bunch of level 60s. When it comes to efficiency for how much time spent versus how many levels you gain, you can't beat that anywhere, right?
Oh yeah, that would.
So like just to start off with, just to flood your,
That would be huge.
yeah, to fill up your 40, because a 4K Legion means 2 extra grids, means, you know, critical damage comes into play. That means if you need IED, you can go pretty hard on that. And it also means you can divest completely from the middle of the grid, and you just make like a straight line connecting like either critical damage and critical rate or IED and boss damage, depending on what you need. And then you fill out the sides, whatever is necessary. So for mobbing, you probably prioritize like critical damage as long as you have enough critical rate, right? And then you can put a little bit in the middle. And then for bossing, probably a combination of critical damage, boss damage, and maybe IED if you need it. And then for mules, it'll probably be a good idea to max out the critical rate and the critical damage and nothing else. So that every single character you play immediately hits all their crits. And that in combination with Link skills and Legion will make every new character just hit like a truck, and then you can get from 60 to 100 super easy, and then just kill Zakum a bunch of times, and then before you know it, you have got a bunch of 140s and you have a 6k Legion, and then you're talking. Then you can fill out entire critical damage, entire boss damage, and have some left over for straggler stats, for IED, for critical rate, whatever you need. As like the, you know, the broad strokes for growing your Legion. Because I'm not saying like whatever you're doing is wrong. Like, you know, if you have a coupon, you ride that one out. If you have a character you like, you ride that one out. You know, whatever you get enjoyment out of. But when it comes to like from the efficiency point of like feeling like you're definitely progressing on the Legion part, just shitting out like a new level 60 every day. If you have the time to do that, then in like 3 weeks,
Definitely.
then in 3 weeks you have 4K Legion without needing to really grind. It's just like holding NPC chat through like the opening sequences and like doing some quests in the beginning and doing 1 or 2 story dungeons, and that's it. Yeah, you can, yeah, because it's always easier to get 60 levels when you have 0 than to get 60 levels on one that's already 140, right? Getting that to 200, that's always way harder.
Yes.
Unless the other character has like a 4-hour opening sequence and you really hate the character and the other one is actually one you enjoy, but at that point you will be able to make that distinction way more, and there'll probably be like 20 characters where you're like, this is fine, and then there'll be like a handful that are annoying as hell, and then you'll just leave those and that's fine.
Oh yeah, what was it? Was it Ho Young that had the ridiculously long opening sequence?
Ho Young, yeah. I think Ilium has got a bunch of stuff where you need to go back. Kinesis has been a while, but I think that has a bunch of stories as well. Some characters have storyline, and you can kind of skip it and go back to it later, but then
like
you do
0?
sacrifice some... Yeah, but then sometimes you do sacrifice some damage for it, like with Adele as well. I don't think you have to do it, but you do get a bunch of stuff for it if you do it, so it is beneficial. Ho Young as well, you get the flight skill and everything, but if you're only going up to 60, like who cares, you know, you're just trying to shit out some levels and move on. And then you can worry about it later when... Yeah, I think Arc has a bunch of where you're like in the desert and you're talking to the characters and everything. It's like, please, can we go do something? Yeah. And you don't get to choose when you transform and everything.
Sometimes I enjoy the storylines they have.
Yeah, some of them are definitely cool. But yeah, lore is just not for everyone. Some people just want to get to killing things.
Get to the grind.
Yeah. Get those sweet levels. But yeah, that should be able to get you those sweet Legion gains in a short term. And then, are you familiar with the links grid that I have, or like the general order for Legion?
Yes, I've seen it, and it's what I use to really dictate. Like, unless I really want to play a certain character,
Mm-hmm.
it's what I've used to dictate what I make next.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I added Lara in there, I think, right? And I think she's decently high up there because of...
I don't know what Lara does.
Yeah, her link skill is a mobbing damage against normal monsters. So like for growing your legion and for training, it'll be best in slot. But other than that, it's not useful at all.
Okay.
So that's cool. Yeah, and intellect legion board. So for you, it's not going to do much. But for mages, it's another clump of intellect to get, which they can get a lot of from member bonus. So, but yeah, so that's the legion part. That all makes sense.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, Matrix now all makes sense, or did you have any leftover questions there?
No.
Okay. Cool. Talk about symbols. Look at the buffs real quick. Like your ID. So when it comes to the link stuff, you're also working on a little bit more IED stuff, because you have Bravado and Rin's Blessing and Lightwash here.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I could get more IED. I would have to refer to that.
To the grid, yeah.
That grid you have.
Yeah, the Explorer Mages also give some when you're bossing. Give
right.
Like a debuff stack.
That was the one I needed to make next.
Yeah, and then the other one, because you do keep debuffs up all the time, right? The other one that also helps you with stable damage when it comes to bossing would be the Cadena one. If you don't, yeah, if you get to the point where you don't need the close call anymore, for example. Because, I mean, close call is nice, and it can definitely help you, but it's a lot of the boss fights, when you already know what you're going to do, and even if the boss only has up to 5 lives, that means there's only like a 50% chance that it triggers even once, so...
Close call is only really in there because I don't have anything else, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I guess Keen Edge rolls out at a certain point. But yeah, the other ones are just like, like Rin's Blessing, Bravado. Those are more filler because you don't have the 4-set superior yet, right? And because your Legion and your Link skills aren't that big yet. But once that gets bigger and once you can cover more of your Legion board, then the ID can come from there. Now, initially, you probably still want to keep this and move the ID away from your WSE first, because that has the added benefit of giving you access to percentage attack, which also increases your damage when you're mobbing. And again, remember, right, WSE, nodes, symbols, that's where you want your damage to come from, so that's going to be an important part. I think, and crit-wise, you're getting some from the compensation items, right? Getting the 6.
I'm getting a little bit from the Dominator Pendant.
Yeah, and the weapon, right? 12, so that's 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 18%. Yeah, but you're at 100% when you're training and mobbing. Training and bossing. Yeah. And are you over?
With Sharp Eyes?
Yeah.
I have everything.
And are you maybe? You're not doing the bug cat kapoo thing?
No.
Or is that gone now? Actually, that's gone now, right?
I'm pretty sure it's gone.
I think so. I didn't do it at all, so I didn't keep track.
Yeah.
But I think it's gone. Yeah, since last Tuesday, probably, right? Yeah, bucket is over. Okay. Okay, so you're exactly at 100. Okay, and then, I guess the next thing that we probably should really look into. Did you leave your hyperstats at 0? Because in this picture, I see like 292 points.
No, I filled them out. I forgot to update that.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I can...
Bucket is gone. Crab, please, yeah.
Here we go. Here's my link.
You adding it to the album, or are you sending it on Discord?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll add it to the album.
Okay.
If I can figure out where I...
Okay.
It's not going to be cropped, if that's okay. Alright, it should be an updated version. I don't know. I might need to blow that up.
Probably go all the way to the bottom. Right.
That should be my updated stats.
Mm-hmm.
Should be at the bottom now.
Yep. Okay. We are critical damage, a little bit more ID damage, boss damage. So this is with, wait, so with crit rate you're at 83 now?
I don't have my link skills applied to
Ah,
my
I see.
character right now.
So it's without, with Phantom Instincts, this is 7, and then that's 15, right? From Phantom Instincts.
I didn't have sharp eyes up. Oh wait, I did have sharp eyes applied. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, just Phantom isn't enough. So you're using Focus Spirit gives you 7, right, to 90, and then you're using the other one, so you're at 15. And is this with any crit in your Legion board, or is that with the same configuration as the screenshot here?
Let me see. Yes, I have 5% from the grid right now with the current application.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think it should be overcapping with what I have.
Yeah, with that
currently.
5%, you'll, and if you use the Phantom and use the Beast Tamer, then you're 5% over. So you could move that 5% from your Legion over right now, or if you redo the hyperstats, you can take 5 out of crit rate, which means you go down from level 6 to level 2.
Yeah, I had the Legion board that I use for training meals applied.
Oh yeah, that's possible, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you switch to the other one for bossing, then it goes down 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Where it's just boss and crit damage.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to okay, but it's good to know where it's at. So you're a little bit higher on the critical damage, a little bit lower on the IED. That's typically a bit of a bigger difference that I like to see, like 12 and 4, because crit damage even over 10 just gives 1%, right? And those last two levels is like, what is it, 50 and 65? So that's 115 points if you apply that to Ignore Defense. You can probably get 4 levels out of that, probably, maybe even 5. So that would be 12 or 15% IED caked on a existing source. And since your IED here, even visual, is like still at 84, I know you get some passive that might be a better way of generating more damage, especially on the harder bosses like Seavel, because of the 300% PDR they have. Did that all make sense, or was that a little bit too much at once?
No, that was good. That was good.
Okay. Because have you calculated your functional IED before?
No.
Okay, because you have some passive stuff, right? You get like 35%, I think, from the stacks you get. Little.
I'm not sure what I get for that.
I believe you get 5% per stack, and you can get up to 7 stacks, or the other way around, 5 stacks and 7% per stack. That's probably the second one, actually.
Adaptive darkness?
I believe so, yeah. And it starts with like a certain percentage, and then you have like second job, third job, fourth job, it gets empowered, and it gains a little bit more percent per stack. And I believe eventually it's 7 times 5 or 5 times 7, but it comes out to 35%. And that is calculated into one clump, which is, you know, what helps you get enough IED, of course.
Yes, it's defense rate ignored per mark is 1%. I don't know what the max is. I think it's like 9 or 10. I believe.
Yeah, I believe it comes up to 7, and then because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 2% extra per job or something. I think.
Oh, is this multiplicative? Is it adding first or second, third, and fourth job, or is it just the fourth job, adaptive darkness?
Oh, I believe all of the empowerments are additive with each other, and then it groups into like a one clump of you get that much ID based on percentage per stack times the amount of stacks. But you know, you have so much stuff flying around, it's always max stacks, right?
Right.
And then you just apply an extra 35% on hit debuff to the boss, so bonus to your ID, to your damage.
Okay. So
So that's probably why your IED. Well, and yeah, you have the WSE. That's also doing a lot of that. Yeah. So
yeah, my emblem and my secondary are giving me
yeah.
a lot
Well,
of IED.
and that's going to be the general gist is that it's probably going to be a good idea for between your hyperstats and. Do you have familiars with IED at all?
No, I haven't really done anything with familiars in ages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can pull up where are the familiars.
I usually just open the equipment inventory and then click the thing on the bottom right.
Equipment
The
inventory.
Roro guy, and then it pops up.
Oh yeah, that works. Yeah, the only familiar I have is a big spider.
Yeah, like an old spider with the drop-in mezzo.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well
Free
that's a
spider
great
and
one, of
mezzo
course.
drop-in.
That's amazing for your progress and for mobbing and everything. But when it comes to bossing, so I think the main thing is going to be to get way more IED from other sources, and to calculate your functional IED and see where you're at, and then scrape off of the secondary and the emblem as quickly as possible. You're probably going to keep at least one line because you don't have a huge legion yet, and you don't have the superior set bonus yet, so that makes sense. But once you get any of those, you immediately want to basically redo one of those two pieces to compensate for that and to get that attack on the board. But I think even with these two at this point, you're probably still lacking IED, I think.
Yeah. What is like a goal for IED?
Well, we have
the
the
percentage should I be aiming for?
So we have the progression grid again. So functionally you want to be aiming towards like 92, maybe even a little bit higher than that, but like 92 functional.
Okay.
And actually maybe they should go up to 93. I feel a little cheeky here. I'm gonna put it up to 93. There we go. Bam. 92 feels a little bit low for 239 actually. And to get to your functional, you can use the IED command in the chat. So first it has like an explanation on how IED works and everything, multiplicative, and additive, and all of that stuff. And then the other one is the second one is the calculation. It's a pretty simple one. You can just click the sources to get rid of them here, and you can just add the sources one at a time. And you can use the list. The third one is like sources. So you use the list of all of the sources of IED and basically go down the list and then check your character for like what do you have and how much do you have for everything, and then just add them in here one at a time. And then the number here that comes up, that's the number that you then want to compare here and to see if you're like at where you want to be. So one of the important ones for you is to definitely make sure that you add the 35% from the passive stuff, right? And I think what you'll find is that you'll probably need to go a little bit higher on the IED on your hyperstats, and I think you can easily take like 2 or maybe 3 levels out of your critical damage to make that work for now, and that's a fine trade to make for bossing. And then that's what I just like eyeballing it is that you're probably going to keep that until you hit either 6k Legion and you can go into the 40% IED clump from the Legion grid, or you get Helix complete set for Superior Gollux first, and whichever one, whenever you get one of those two, you'll redo probably the secondary first, and then once you have because ever have Brilliance, well, yeah, they have the Princess Snow one on the back burner probably, right?
Yes, I should be getting that today.
Yeah,
but I'll have to get it ready.
Yeah, so you can just, if you have extra Muster Cross and extra Meister and stuff, you can start rolling on that. And if you get something cool that's just percentage attack, you can use that one for mobbing and this one for bossing in the meantime. But once you get to get an extra line, you can probably just permanently switch to the one with attack or maybe attack and boss. And then once you get the other one, the one that you didn't get yet, either the 6k Legion full grid or the Superior Golic set, then you can redo the emblem basically. But so one of the sources, the biggest gains I think that you currently don't have right now is the familiars part. It's pretty it's pretty easy in the way that it's uncomplicated, pretty simple, but not necessarily easy to get the extra IED from the familiars. But if you start working more on Legion and like getting a lot of characters leveled up, basically the main thing you want to do is all the familiars you get on all the characters that you're leveling, just throw them all in storage and open them all up on your Nightwalker and just look for 15% IED on them, and reveal them all.
Okay.
And you know how to do that, like the revealing and everything?
Yeah, I'm a little new to it, but I have seen a video or two on familiars recently.
Yeah, so
Because
you're not really
I
looking for
have
drop
noticed.
and everything because you have the spider, so that's all fine. You can ignore that. So you're just looking for 15% IED essentially. And if they're shitty and they're not what you want, you can extract them, and then you can get some points from them. Right, and you can get extraction. If you extract them, you get points here, and then you can use that for familiar essence. If you want to grind like long sessions in a day and you run out of summon gauge here, then you can replenish it with the familiar essence. Or if that's not something you need and you have a lot of points from like a lot of familiars, then you can buy a booster pack if you want, but that's typically only advised if you have a lot of points, and you only get that if you get a lot of familiars that are all very different. Because if you get the same familiars, then you tend to want to go through fusion and fuse them together, so you can make higher quality familiars with access to cooler familiar stats. But that's only if you're making epics or uniques. The common and the rare ones are just they're just there for IED, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So make sure you have enough, that you get at least one badge, right? So you can have access to 2 familiars, and look for 2 15% IEDs. That'll also, will definitely help you. And it's possible that with that, but with the calculation and the specific numbers, you'll find that, that's enough to not go too hard on Legion in the beginning, or not too hard in the hyper stats maybe. But of course, it's easier to like click and redo your hyperstats now than to just snap your fingers and get 2 IED familiars, because it could very easily be up to like 100 familiars opened until you find a single one. So it could be like around 200 familiars easily to get your 2 15% IEDs, or it could be 6. Who knows? I've had it both ways on my character. Well, the unluckiest character, so I did it for all of my characters for Project CRA. The unluckiest one opened 800, and the luckiest one opened 6. But most of them were like around 180, around there. So to give you some kind of ballpark, what you're expecting, I guess. Yeah, so we got the crit rate and the IED, right? Those are the important ones. So we've got the general order of where your important pieces are and what the progress is with IED and what the big milestones are that you need to look out for. So the second one, and we gave you more coverage on totems, so that'll be very good. The second thing after that is getting the accessories to legendary and getting drop rate and meso on there. So when it comes to upgrading those pieces, you're mainly just looking at upgrading the potential, and the other stuff just doesn't really matter at all. So when it comes to Star Force, you're mainly focusing that on the items that you will wear always when you're both mobbing and bossing. So that comes down to the weapon if you have it, but yours is locked, and then comes down to the the Abzo stuff. Now all of your stuff is already 16, right? Your Abzo, and you're getting you're missing one piece.
I'm missing the shoes, which I think I'll get next week.
Wait, you suddenly just got really quiet.
Yeah, I had to switch my mic because my headset was dying.
Oh, okay, hang on. Let me turn you up a lot. Hang on. Oh man, I'm just getting used to that. Just getting used to that voice. Hang on. Gotta boost you to like 4 million%. Okay, hello?
Yeah, hello? I had to switch back. I had to switch over to the headset mic.
Oh, yeah. Well, can't say I'm not horribly disappointed, but we'll have to make do. Okay. Yeah, so which part were you missing? Because I scrolled past it.
The shoes.
The shoes, yeah, okay.
Which I should be next week. I have a Necro that has...
Yeah, oh yeah, you're using the 7% all stat. Yeah. Someone in chat already saw that.
Necro claims.
Yeah, well, you could just get a lot of them, and they have advantage, so I like them as pieces. I've used, like my marksman got to 250 wearing... I had a Necro shoe and a Dimension glove on until 250 on the marksman. Just grinding it out. God. Yeah. And then I got Abzo as a present to myself for reaching 250. Yeah, so that's like the broad strokes for like where to spend your money. So let's say that the 5, 10, 15 comes out, right? Like, do you need to panic? Do you need to go hard? Depending on how much money you have at that point, you could bump up like all of the 16s basically to 17. I wouldn't do any more than that. I would direct more of the funds to getting the accessories online. So getting like a committed set to drop in Mezzo, 9 pieces. So that means getting another pendant as well, right? That one, which might mean that you need to bump a little bit more into crit rate at that point to make sure you can keep 100%. But to make sure that you can have 5 lines of Mezzo, 4 lines of drop rate, and then hopefully most of them can also have a line of luck along with it. And as you know, they only need like 12 Star Force or something. You don't need to go crazy. That will be fine. And then again, to reiterate, because that's not where all your damage needs to come from, right? The nodes, symbols, WSE, that's where the damage wants to come from. So again, so if you can get the IED quicker, like let's say you get the familiars and you can get the hyperstats and a little bit of Legion board, and you can redo one of the two, like the secondary or the emblem, before you get the big chunk, then that would also be advisable, right? Because that takes some pressure off of needing damage on your accessories to still being able to kill.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be about finding the pieces. I believe we have event rings coming up in live, so that should ease the access to rings at least, because you need a lot of those, right? So it's always cool to have more access, including the really strong ones. Those are typically very expensive, of course, for the shop and will require quite a lot of work. But so again, you know, look at what can you possibly get? How much effort is it? Are you willing to put the effort in? If you are willing to, then plan accordingly. If you're not willing to, then, you know, go for whatever does make sense for your account. And it's perfectly fine for the pieces that you do keep to get them to legendary and get drop a Mezzo on them, because you know you're just gonna always be using Mezzo drop gear, so that's perfectly fine. So do you have some pieces in mind that you would do that on?
I have,
because you have the eye,
2 backup Dominator pendants, my Black Bean Mark. I've been trying to get my solid Golix ring to legendary to get Mezzo on it. I kind of lucked out on the aquatic letter eye accessory. I think it went to legendary in like 6 cubes or something like that from Epic.
Nice. Yeah, and the stats along with Mezzo. So
yeah,
that's
and then like
scenario.
3 cubes later, I had Mezzos obtained in 12% all stats. So I was like, okay, I've had that for forever.
Yeah, and sometimes the item just tells you what it wants to be, you know, and then you have to just listen. Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah.
So for stuff that's Epic. Did you transfer hammer the solid pendant? You must have 366. Did you have like a unique one? Did you have a unique cracked that you transfer hammered or something?
No, I just rolled that.
Wow, that is very rare. Triple prime with double 6s on the bottom.
I rolled that with an occult cube.
Okay, occult cubes striking again. Yeah, that'll probably be. Yeah, so it for most pieces, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Like, okay, if you do upgrade this one, you might end up losing some stat as well, right? So you want to make sure that the other stuff, but you know, the extra damage you gain from the boost nodes, and that you're going to continue to gain from that at a much quicker rate now that you've gotten to the bottom of it. That should help you offset all of that. But typically you're still moving just one piece at a time, so you're not going, you know, you're not taking like a huge hit from one day to the next. You're just going one piece at a time to increase that utility, and then every single piece should make the next piece come a little bit faster, because it should increase your gains plus more totems. It should be a good mix. But do you feel like you have a general idea, or is it like a piece where you're like, okay, I have no idea how to segue from the current situation it's in to the next stage?
Maybe like the superior set. Like, how am I supposed to do I like transfer my engraved into reinforced into superior, or do I just try to get, like, would that be worth it to try to keep these lines?
Wait, do you currently have superior? Wait, am I scrolling past
I
them?
do not have superior. I'm just thinking like when I get them.
When you get them,
Like,
yeah.
how would I transfer into superior? Because right now it wouldn't just be outright better.
Yeah, because the superior base stats are actually kind of shit. They're just really good when you have the full set. So
Right.
honestly, unless you're in the situation that you have the full set, you don't really need to move into them. If there's some kind of event that makes it cheaper to Star Force, then you can Star Force them a little bit. If there's some kind of cubing event or some kind of cube sale, then you can work on the potential at that point. But you don't really have to unless you have the full set. And that also means that you don't have to spend your coins on anything, as long as you have everything filled with by that point, hopefully by legendary accessories that have a little bit of stat, maybe some stat bonus going on, maybe an okay flame and a little bit of Star Force. But the main thing is that have the utility of the Mezzo and the drop. You should still be able to boss like that. Again, provided that all the other stuff has moved along as well, that the Legion has moved along, the Link skills have moved along, the nodes have, and the potential of the WSE, and that everything is like moving along accordingly. Then your accessories can just be pretty much exclusively drop and Mezzo, but you can still do the content around your level. And then once you get the drops, and once you get enough coins, and then once you've gotten enough dineros to buy the Sweetwater items, and basically at that point you're looking at like everything 17 star, everything legendary with 2 lines of potential, and then you switch like those full sets around and you make those dedicated for damage. If you do get a piece, and it does fit into your set, and maybe you're like short a ring anyway, and you end up rolling something like 1 line of luck and a line of Mezzo or something, well then it's just going to be like a little bit of a hybrid for a while, and that's fine as well. You don't want to overcommit for a specific role in the beginning when you're still developing the distinct sets of Mezzo and drop and of damage. At that point, the potential just tells you what set is going to be part of, and then that's fine. But eventually, this is superior you want to specifically do for damage, but that's still like quite a ways out, so there's no, you don't have to pressure that too much. But before that point, like, do you see yourself moving from this situation to having the 9 accessories with drop and Mezzo combined that you will be wearing, like, because you want to preserve value that you've already invested, right? You've already got some epics and stuff, but some things are more dedicated to damage at this point. Do you see, like, when you look at your inventory, do you see like a clear path there?
Yeah, a little bit. There's a couple, like, some of the rings, they just keep giving me like stat. Like when I was first upgrading the synergy ring, I was looking to make it a Mezzo gear, and then it rolled 21% luck, and it's like, okay, so now if I ever want to change this to Mezzo, I have to black cube it until it gets basically perfect lines.
Yeah, or you run it to Mezzo and drop, but then lose out on a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose 21%.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of those things where it might be that you end up, not pushing too hard on the rings then, or not on that one specifically, or if you do push on the rings but you end up hitting 21 luck, then you just go for another ring, and then you add another one up to the set. And hopefully the live event and the access to the event rings there is going to help you round out that total set of equips.
Yeah, I was kind of sad to see that the past few events didn't have a shop with rings.
Yeah, they skipped a few. Yeah. Yeah, the nodes would have been nice. Or symbols, yeah. We got some from like side events, but definitely not on the magnitude of possibly in a giant shop, yeah.
Like, what was the there was an event that it was where I got my Lydium heart. There was a fairy heart also that was available. It was the
it was not in a wake. Was it Neo?
Yeah, it was Neo. That event. I didn't push as hard on it as I wish I had. I just kind of ran out of time. Like, I really wanted the fairy heart, but then I realized I wasn't gonna have enough time to get it, so I ended up settling for a Lydium heart.
Yeah.
That was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, Lydium heart often is. It's and you don't want to sink too much money into it either, because the potential is just so disappointing.
I mean, it's something, but it's also nothing at the same time.
that's the best you could do. It's something, yeah.
Also been trying to sink a bunch of money into my gloves because I really want them to get to legendary.
Yeah.
So I can get critical damage off of them.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, critical damage off gloves is very valuable, of course. And I would put that. I probably put that solidly behind getting your drop and meso set going though, because again, like if you don't really need the damage at this point, then this is fine. But then if you can start speeding up how quickly you make money, you know, both by getting more totems, more dedicated training time, and then increasing the utility while not losing kill speed by working on the nodes and the symbols and all the other stuff, then your general income level is going to start going up a lot, and you'll have bigger chunks of money at a time that you can throw at projects like the glove, and that will make it more efficient. Like spending 500 mil like 4 different times is usually less efficient than spending like 1.5 mil one time, because you'll have more options at the same time interval that you can pick the best one out of, and you'll be on average left with a better thing. And then you can also combine that with things like events popping up, and then your money can be worth even more than if you spend. Yeah. So that's the situation we want to get you to. So I do get that you see the potential of the gloves, and you want to literally the potential and figuratively the potential of the glove, and you want to realize that. But I think at this point it's probably it's probably better to focus a little bit more on the accessories first and get those done, or as much as possible, or at least have a plan for like, okay, I'm going to make like 2 extra rings in live. I'm going to try to get all of the other pieces done before then. And then you'll just see your average income like during training sessions and even during dailies go up so much. And then that'll allow you to splurge on things like the glove and on other projects, and then on the secondary or maybe the emblem later, to see those real big gains realized to help you out and make those significant changes.
Okay. And one last thing.
Yeah.
I'm still farming in Lachlan. Should I be farming in Arcana instead?
So I would always say that you... So when you say farming, you mean training, right?
Yeah, training and just getting mesos at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
I kill things a lot faster in Lachlan, but I don't know if it's more beneficial to be in
Mm-hmm.
Arcana.
Yeah, what it comes down to, and specifically for a Nightwalker, what it comes down to is how quickly can your bats kill, right? Because once those bats come online, and they can go from 3-shotting to 2-shotting, and then eventually from 2-shotting to 1-shotting, that's when you really see an uptick in your rates. So the best way to be able to figure out if you're in the right spot. Now, of course, we just already made some upgrades, and I hope that with the newfound insights that you will start progressing a little bit faster, or faster. We can say that. The main thing is not the main thing to figure that out is to try and to see what the results are. The best way to keep track of that is by doing battle analyses. Have you ever used those?
I do like short 10 minutes just to see like where I am at mesos, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. See how much mesos I'm making every 10 minutes. And
but have you tried to do that in different maps before?
No, not really. It's just in the one map that I've been at.
Mm-hmm.
I've been farming at the Revelation Place 3.
Yeah, Rev 3. Yeah, it's a pretty popular map. Yeah, so one thing you can do is if there are other maps that could be good. So typically moving into Arcana, people are thinking about like Earth Spirits, usually the lower the lower areas, or like the south areas, I guess, of Arcana typically have too much arcane power in the beginning, and I think for you that's still the case, right? So moving into there,
unless I put arcane power into my hyperstat.
Yeah, which is definitely a possibility in the beginning, right? That's not a bad thing or anything, because if it gives you the final damage, then that's the best way to improve your damage, right? It might be more important than putting into percentage damage when you're mobbing. Of course, when you're bossing and you're not doing an arcane boss, then it'll hurt you a little bit there. But that is definitely a tool that you can use, and that would be useful for hyperstats if you can. Definitely before you put anything in lock and into weapon attack. To get you that final damage, that would be very important. But the other thing would be just to check like which other maps could be good, and then pop a BA and then just look at the rates. Usually I do 15-minute intervals, because that's like the recycle timer of a node, and then you can also check your EXP on like on a fair interval, because then you have like a whole cycle of sorry, not a node, a rune, because it takes like 15 minutes for one of those to respawn. So 15 minutes is usually a good timer to have like as a comparative between the maps. And maybe you'll find another map that maybe the rates are like not even that much better. Maybe they're around the same, but maybe you like the map way better, or you like looting way better. That can make it so that you have at least a bit more fun, or makes it feel like time is passing a little bit faster, so it's not as much of a chore, to make progress in the game.
Yeah, the only other map that I've been looking at farming other than the Revelation place is the Cavern Lower Path.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm basically just looking at small maps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because big maps, I feel like I'm moving around too much and I'm not gaining anything from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna change once your bats get online, because then you want bigger maps and you want way more targets for your bats that they can hit, because the smaller the maps, the lower the amount of monsters, and if you already kill everything with your main skill, then the bats have nothing left to kill. But once your bats start coming online, you want more monsters, and you want like more platforms relatively close together so the bats can like fly around and tag them, because that's when you see your rates go up a lot. And just by moving through the map, your pets will just gonna have a field day looting everything. But it'll be a combination of things, right? It'll be a combination of like checking out a new map, maybe seeing someone else rotate the map, asking some night walkers like, where did you guys train? You can get some inspiration that way, and then you probably have a list of like 3 or 4 maps that could be good. And then I just like dedicate one totem to just checking them all out, and then just you can note down. One thing I usually advise is like give them like a score on like how good was the meso, or you could just write down how much meso and experience you got, and then give them a score also based on like how crowded it is and like how fun it is for you to train in that map. And then if you're going to train and you're like, okay, it's very crowded right now, and then you can like check the list and be like, okay, I'm going to take one that's not as crowded and then go train there. Or it's like, okay, I really don't feel like training, but somehow I hate myself and I'm going to do a totem or something. Then you want to do one where you at least like training the most, for example. You can kind of like look for the opportunity there that matches the situation. But yeah, because it can feel daunting, because it's like, okay, there's like 60 maps I can go to, but when you really narrow it down, it's going to come down to 5 or less usually that are even remotely good. One thing I did sometimes with new areas is just walk through all the areas with my character and just look at the minimap and be like, do I see myself training here? And usually you can immediately exclude like 75 to 80% of the maps, like this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you just work your way backwards from there.
Like, I could never see myself training anywhere in the clock tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a tricky one with how down jumping works. Some characters can, right? I think like Kinesis and Cannoneer could, jumping down the sides and having a very long horizontal hitbox or skills, which would allow you to hit very far into the middle of the map, and while you're falling down, hit a bunch of monsters. Like I think a Cannoneer could do well, right? You have some AoEs that just float around, you can jump on the side, Cannoneer shoots pretty far into the map. That could work, but I think for most people it'd be like you have to either really enjoy that style, or literally everything is packed and I still want to train because it's like 2x or something. I guess I'll go into the clock tower kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's probably what's going to happen. One thing I did want to mention just to make sure, are you okay with like flames and how that all works and how you can tell a good flame from a bad flame?
No, not really. I mean, I can tell when something's like really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, okay,
I can't tell when something's okay or bad.
Yeah.
Unless it just doesn't give me anything, obviously, then it's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the standards are different between different types of equips, right? If you've probably noticed that, like on the superior gear and the Golic stuff, like the flames there.
Yeah, Golic's flames are just generally not good.
Generally not good, yeah. Well, because there the concept of good is just relative, and different amounts are good there versus like your belt, for example, is like amazing, right? Because it's reinforced and because the standards are much lower there. Comparatively, this is like the best reinforced flame I've probably ever seen and probably ever will see.
No.
Yeah, but if you compare this to like a Zakum Iron Face, then it's like okay. It's like decent. But,
yeah.
But the standard for and so there's ways to figure it out, right? So for this one as well, I have the flames command. So there's like, again, just like with IED, there's like a video that explains the whole thing, and then there's a calculator that you can use, so you can check the flame score of all the items, and then you can circle that back to the progression grid and then look for the flame scores here. So for the items without advantage and the items with advantage, what kind of flame scores you're looking for. And this is again a way that you can double check to make sure that you're not over investing, or that if you have something that's like good enough, that you can just leave it for a while, you know?
Yes.
And they'll help you keep track of, you know, how much do you want to push, and as a result, how much money do you want to spend, and as a result, how much time do you want to spend making money versus just grinding it out and prioritizing that. And there's also a cost calculator, so if you can see like, we could do that for fun actually for the belt just to check. So the so it's an armor level 140, right? Yeah, 140.
Yes.
You're probably at about 8.5. All stat to main stat attack probably is closer to 4 because you're a Nightwalker, so you have lower amount of attack because of the weapon. Main stat about 10 to 1, that makes sense. And then based on that, for your belt, 28 and 12 dex, so 1.2, 29.2, 4, 12, 41.2, what a pickle, 25.5, 25.5, 41.2, 56.7. With powerful flames on a non-flame advantage item. Okay, well, let's do 0.5. Can you do... Okay, well, let's do 57 then. Yeah, it's about average 5 to 7 bill value. Somewhere between 540, 780 average flames to use to get that. Right, so if you can... Right? But you never would have thought that just looking at it if you didn't know it's a 140 that has a restriction. It doesn't have flame advantage. That's a restriction, right?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. If you compare that and you look at this one, for example, so this one is 30 and 6, right? So this one is lower level, is level 100. Oh, it doesn't have it for that low. That sucks a little bit. We can take something else that's like comparative, like CRA or something, right? That's level 150.
Yep.
Maybe take your top, well, your hat, I think, right? That one has, well, this one actually has nothing, right? So if you would say like, okay, let's say we had like the same kind of value spent on flames on the belt versus on the hat, right? What could we expect on the hat, for example? So let's see if we can like reproduce something like this. So 550 to 800-ish on a hat. Then I think we're probably looking for like 115. Oh, a little bit lower. 108. Oh. Yeah, so like a 112. So like that's the equivalent of like like this, like end game CRA stuff, a little bit, a 2 score over that.
Yeah, I never reflamed that belt. Like
yeah, so, and the belt is like, yeah, the belt is 56, it's 57, right? And it's a 140 gear. This is like for level 150 pieces, like for CRA and the Sweetwater stuff, is you're aiming for 60-ish. So the belt is eventually, you know, going to disappear or going to transfer into a superior, you know, and you'll lose that flame score and it's whatever, but it will have served this purpose along the way. But hopefully, so like, right, so your belt is worth like gaining 112 stat worth of stats on your hat. That's like the same value. So if you get your hat gets like, what is 112? That's like 60 main stat and 6 all stat or something, you know, which is, again, that's like this value, right? It's like a 7 bill value flame. That's what your belt has. Yes. So that'll give you like a little bit of a lens to look through to your pieces through, but also, again, by looking at what is your current flame score and what is the flame score that you want to roughly be at, you'll very quickly see a priority on, if I have any free flames, where do I throw those on, right? And then, because you always look at the weapon first, and then you look at flame advantaged items, and then you just go highest level to lowest level. So it's like weapon, Abso gear, CRA gear, and then Pink Holy Cup 140. That one, I think you could also make some gains, right? because I think it only had some attack and a little bit of stat. Yeah, so this one isn't that high either. But for pink holy cup, it's nice. You can just get a second cup and then just flame that one. And if it's better than the first one, just switch it and then flame the other one again until you get to an acceptable point. So you don't have to go like all or nothing on your flames. So that's a little bit safer. And then it's like the Sweetwater stuff, the Superior stuff, and then whatever is left. But there's not much left at that point.
Right.
Yep.
So I would be wanting to flame my hat. I didn't even realize it had no bonuses.
There's a bunch of numbers on there, but if you really look at it, it's like, oh, but none of these are actually helping you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, strength, dex, int, MP, and magic attack. Yeah, nobody would really be happy with this flame. Maybe a very desperate Kana or something.
I don't know if it would get any worse than that.
No, a flame has like probably has like a 20% chance of giving you the same and an 80% chance of improving or something along those lines. But then yeah, as soon as you get anything, then now the chances immediately turn. But like the thing with your top, for example, like it doesn't have any stat, but the all stat and the attack together is probably like one of your better flames because it's that much, you know.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, you could just use a calculator to get like an estimate for the number, and then the more you use it, the more you'll just be able to eyeball like, okay, this is good enough, or this one needs work. And then when you really start min-maxing, then by then you have like this big calculator. You put all the numbers in, then you get the exact numbers because the calculator is just an approximation, to give you guys like a point to aim towards. But once you get the actual numbers, and then you can very much pinpoint, like, okay, I want like 48 of this, 3 of that, 7, then you know exactly what you're looking for.
So the flame on my earrings is also really good then, right?
Yeah, it's solid earrings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, if it hits any all stat and attack, and you have some stat on it, that's like for Golix gear, that's like a dream scenario, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, because comparatively the chunk of stats they give compared to the other stuff is still little, that doesn't mean you have to like hang on to it forever and you can never move away from it. You can still use it as, the piece that you transfer hammer into reinforced gear when you find it, so you can transfer hammer it into superior gear maybe eventually, or you could keep this as drop rate gear and just push the potential up to legendary. You either way it works. But don't let it like lock you too much, because yeah, you can be 20 stat over what you would expect here, but if you're in the grand scheme of your account, that's not like account defining. It's just what I want to say.
Yeah, I don't think I'll touch the earrings until I get superior, like already.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you typically just get a legendary earring for drop or mezzo, and that could be any earring. Some people use a cracked, a solid, reinforced, use the Diacitis earrings, the Willow, the Wisps, whatever, and you get those to legendary for drop or mezzo, maybe with some stat, and that's what you hold until you get to superior. There's not much else you can do. Not many other options, yeah.
So because the flame score would actually be better on a boss drop, I would want to use, like, ideally Will-O-Wisps or Diacitis for drop.
Yeah, so let's say you do those bosses for like a few days and you get like a sick flame, then you can choose to do that one, and then based on the potential, that will determine what the roll is, right? Like if it gets a really good flame and you get the drop or the mezzo on it, then you can use this one that you have now for damage and the other one for drop or mezzo. But let's say this one drops and it rolls a bunch of stat as well, and it will become your best damaging piece. Well, then you can roll this one for drop or mezzo.
Okay.
And then that way you kind of it determines where you go. Or, if the other one drops, if it rolls for drop or mezzo, you can also decide to just hold this one as it is, right? And not upgrade it and just wait until superior and then transfer hammer it up. And then you immediately come with an epic and some Star Force superior and you can start from there immediately.
Okay.
But yeah, for most things, even if you have like follow-up questions, yeah, if you check the command in the chat, you check the YouTube video, that should clear everything up. If the video is properly made, which I hope they are. And if it doesn't, then let me know, because feedback is always very helpful. Because if something doesn't fully explain what it's trying to explain, then I have some work to do. So always feel free
Yeah.
to let me know if something is not quite 100%. But yeah, if you ask anyone in chat, they'll probably be able to help you out or show you the command, because I've got a bunch of them. So you've probably seen the tip of the iceberg with the progression and with the links, but there's many more for specifically for in-depth. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of your spreadsheets in there. Very helpful.
Yeah, there's a lot of information in there. I hope it's not too overwhelming for new people coming into that. Hopefully you can get the information that you need, and then come back if you need more. That's the goal, right? That you can you can take what you need from it, but that is not like so much that it's too daunting.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything when you're looking at your equip screen, I guess, anything where you're like, okay, I still have no idea what to do here, or is everything kind of fallen into place?
I think there's just one more question, and it's about the fake arcane. Is there ever a scenario where I'm replacing that with anything other than a real arcane?
No.
No? Okay.
I could go into one of my 15-minute answers, but it just comes down to no, basically. Because with how strong it is, you got the tier 6 attack, tier 6 boss, and you got luck on it. You're going to be relying on that crit for a while, and you just need time to build up Legion and Links and the levels and everything so that you can take the blow of losing the crit, and you need time to make the money to be able to switch to a right one. Switching to an Abzo wouldn't do it. You can temporarily get you can go for the hat, for the Abzo hat if you want to, for the extra boss damage. Use that one for bossing, use this one for mobbing, something like that. But I would keep the weapon until you get a real weapon, yeah.
Okay. I think that's everything.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Well, I'll upload it to YouTube and everything. So if you watch it back, if there's anything you still think about that's relevant for the session, you can just hit me up on Discord. If it's just a general question or like a follow-up question after a bit, you can always you know where to find me. I'm live on Twitch all the time, so the commands will probably do 60% of the work, and then you could do a little bit more work, and then I could do the rest of the work, and then we'll figure it out.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Well, best of luck on everything, and I'll see you around.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Cool. That was another one that was way too long and went long. So hopefully you guys, your totems are almost done now, guys. I think your totems are almost done. Double check your timers on your coupons. Do you have any tier 7 flame lines? Maybe in the stats, but I haven't double checked. But not that I can. I don't think I have any tier 7 attacks or tier 7 all stats or something like that. I might have some tier 7 stat or double stat, but again, that's why we use flame score, so you don't have to worry about what level it is exactly, but that you worry about the clump of total stats, and that's what you use to dictate whether it's good or bad, All right, so yeah, in the beginning, I mean, the first picture you see is this weapon, so you're like, wow, this person must be doing great, Look at that flame. Look at this weapon. Like even at like before 230. What level was he? 228? Like this is such a solid foundation, right? Build everything around, and he has a potential badge. Medium heart, which is at least something in the kit. Like this really looks good. No Monster Parker badge yet, but that's also not like the end of the world. That's something that you can just slowly build up to. And Abzo pieces, right? But the main thing we found, right, was the nodes. The nodes was a huge part where a lot of the damage, I wouldn't say it was lost, but it wasn't being gained, right? So hopefully with that newfound insight, you can commit way higher efficiency on all the nodes he gets. And once the drop rate and the meso stuff starts coming online, and remember he has a spider familiar from before, which helps a lot with building up your character node-wise. So that should set him on a collision course to success, hopefully. Wow, that was so cool. That sounded like such a huge cliche. As soon as I said it, I was like, God, that sounded it sounded bad. But okay. Yeah. Oh, one thing. Okay, if you're still watching, dude. One thing I saw you redid some stuff for your inner-ability. That final damage plus 40% of your defense. That looks good, maybe, but that's absolute garbage. So when we have the 50% off inner-ability reroll, I would advise to reroll that to either if you get 20 drop or 20 meso, just hold on to that for a while, because that'll help you progress very, very well. Final damage 40, that's like a bait. You see final damage, you think good, but this is actually really, really bad. But I think it's more likely that you probably stopped because you ran out of honor experience. So I'm not like accusing you of keeping it because you thought it was good. But to any people seeing it, I just want to make sure that I mentioned it, because this Sunday you can roll, and you don't have to lock your tier. You can't roll down anymore, so you can just freely re-roll, or even use some circulators. But try to get drop or mezzo on the top line. That'll be a huge buff in the short term that you can also make. We're trying to get 20 boss or 20 crit. Yeah, no, I get you. For that as well, for people who are going to be running this weekend, so 2 days from now, on inner abilities, !inner ability in the chat. Look at the strategy, look at the best in slot, come up with a plan, and figure out if it's worth doing for you, because you're probably going to have to commit from where you are now to where you want to be. You're probably going to have to commit a certain amount of money to circulators, and not everyone might be willing to do that. So make sure that you have that plan. 20% crit doesn't exist? I think so too, yeah. You only kept it because almost out of honor? Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, but this Sunday, so 50% off, so mark your calendar for that if you want to do inner ability stuff. So other than that, I did draw my 2 winners from October, because we're November now, right? Yes, I know the months of the year. For October, I did draw those winners from the YouTube videos from the previous progression sessions. We actually had 15 videos, and the 2 videos that ended up winning, one video only had 2 comments that wanted to win, and the other one had 1 comment that person wanted to win. So those were very easy. It is RNG, but those people got their wins very easily, because not many people were commenting that they wanted one of these free sessions. So that can only mean 2 things. Either 1, people are forgetting, or 2, these sessions are horrible, but everyone keeps telling me they're amazing, so it must be the first one, because can't possibly be that people don't want. But just as a reminder, I draw 2 winners every month randomly from the comments of all the videos from that month, and we're November, so a new month has just started. I pick 2 winners from all of the November videos that will get one of these free sessions, one of these sessions with me for free. Usually they're paid sessions, or you can get them with channel points if you're subscribed on my Twitch channel. So if you don't want to wait, you can also see the links in the description on how to plan one of these sessions with me directly. You don't have to wait for RNG to maybe win. Yeah, so make sure you leave a comment that you want to win, so I can very clearly see who gets to potentially be drawn at the end of the month. Other than that, if you have more data for me, I always welcome that. Monster skill per hour, battle analyses for bursting, right? The 40-second battle analysis. Or training videos of you in higher level areas, always very welcome. Link also in the description on where you can submit that in an easy form. And I use that to help with my commands. So all the commands can be found on my Twitch channel. You can always check !info or check !commands. Always links to the whole list of nearly 200 commands that will help you gain the knowledge I think you need, or at least the foundation that you need to be able to progress in this game and kind of stay in control, so that the game doesn't control you, but you can control what you do in the game, and know that what you're doing is at least in the direction of efficiency, as long as you can do whatever is fun for you within that, but at least you know that you're moving in the right direction, and not knowing where you're going and constantly thinking like, I hope I'm not missing out on a whole lot, that can be very annoying, and that can be stressful, so hopefully you can take that stress away, that you at least know that you're going in a good direction. If it does only that, then that's already a big gain, I think. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully it was educational. Hopefully your totem has finally ended. Congrats on another 2-hour training session. And I'll see you guys on the next one, or I'll see you live on Twitch. Goodbye. Bye, YouTube.